It's the Badass Banshee Energy Show.
Hey, I'm Hollis.
And I'm Elara.
And it's the Badass Banshee Energy Show.
A whale of a good podcast.
Ah.
Nice. It's time for useless trivia. Now, mine is super cute.
Oh.
A lot of people do not know the difference between a turtle, a tortoise, and a terrapin, other than they all start with T.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is they're all turtles, but turtles are broken up between tortoises, which live on land, and terrapin, which are semi-aquatic turtles. So that's the difference. And for show and tell,
We have the cutest show and tell that ever there was.
this is my terrapin kiwi.
Ooh.
Probably a girl. We don't know yet till she's 4 inches, looking like a girl. She is my terrapin who was stuck in my pool filter, so we gave her a good habitat and home. She's a Cumberland slider.
Oh, so sweet.
Say hi, Kiwi. Okay, bye.
Okay, Kiwi.
I'm going back to the water.
My perfections.
What's your useless trivia?
I mean, I can't follow that, but we'll go a little scary for those with arachnophobia. So, did you know that African jumping spiders have problem-solving intelligence? They can solve mazes, and they're kind of big. So,
Basketball team.
basketball team, spider basketball.
Spider basketball.
Yep. That's what we
Great band name.
perfect band name of the episode.
Yes, nice.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
So today we're going to be discussing just an overview for new authors of what they should know, commonly asked questions, just a blanket overview.
Yeah, super quick. If you have more in-depth questions for us, DM us. Put it in the comments. We will read and answer you.
Yes.
But we're going to move through this one with some ease.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first topic is on writing programs. And this is asked a lot, like, what program do I need to work with? What's your process?
So as I mentioned in a lot of my videos, I handwrite all of my first drafts in cursive, so none of you can read it.
Right.
Unless
It's funny because it's true.
It is, unless you're Gen X. But I do all that first because that gets the creative out of my brain. And then when I type it up in Google Docs because it's super easy to share with my editors and alpha readers, beta readers, all of that. And I can download it to any program I need to for formatting.
I just have Word already on my laptop, so I just type it into Word and format it later. Easy.
Easy peasy.
Any kind of writing program you want.
Yep.
Okay, so what are some other basic tools that you use when you write?
So, well, pen and paper. I'm really, with the writing itself, I'm very, very simple. Like Google Sheets is or whatever it is really, not Sheets. The thing, Google whatever is what I use. And it's just easy to share. And Post-its. That's for random ideas and things like that. I put Post-its in Post-its. When I have a random thing and I should remember to say that person's name or why they're still hanging off a cliff or something. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Nice.
But that's it. Yeah. I'm very simplistic. I'm very low key. I don't use high tech stuff.
Right. And I see this a lot where people, like, authors are recommending all these different programs, and like, if you don't need it, like, don't spend your money.
Yeah.
There is something called Scrivener that is very popular, and it's basically online index cards. You do have to pay for it. Mm-hmm. There is a free trial. I just use index cards. I like it in my hands. I like the feel. I like to be able to draw on it. But Scrivener is very popular.
Yeah, and you can do that. Or I know that my husband, he's not a writer, but he uses Apple Notes for like everything. Yeah. He just opens up his notepad or whatever. Yeah. And you can, whatever happens for you. Personally, like Elara, I am more of a concrete, like the idea isn't sticking unless it's written on, something tangible.
Yeah.
I'm not as digital, but that just makes everything cheaper.
Yeah. Everybody is just, new authors will always sort of be stuck on that. Like, I don't want to write it in the wrong format. And I mean, there's nothing you can't cut and paste if you're in something that just simply won't do what you need it to do. But yeah, most programs, you can just save it right to that docx.
Yeah, it's never in the wrong format as long as you can copy and paste it into a good formatting software for page layouts.
Right.
Or a designer can work with it. Doesn't matter. Get it out of your brain.
Get it out of your brain first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to move on. So we got the other tools. Let's talk a little bit about KDP versus Ingram Spark.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kindle Direct Publishing. That's KDP. People confuse what this is all the time. Essentially, Kindle Direct Publishing, you upload your book, put in the information, and it'll be available all over Amazon in different countries. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then there's actually 2 places that I recommend doing it, Kindle Direct Publishing and
Ingram Spark? Yeah. and I do the same thing.
Can you tell me a little bit about Ingram Spark?
Sorry. I'm just over here having daydream thoughts, dreaming of screaming across the hills.
Embellish on that.
so
Ingram Spark
also exists. There's a worldwide list called the Ingram list where, pretty much it's a worldwide list. It's one of the major players globally, and it's worth it. It's free to publish via Ingram Spark. Just wherever you get your ISBN number, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that you can do that, and you just have to upload. You can use their bookmaker, which is easy to use, doesn't have a lot of functions. I would recommend having a designer, and you can just upload the files. But hit it up, publish it. It's free, and then your book is available globally.
Right.
I know personally, I always publish with both. I always publish via Amazon KDP, and
it's absolutely recommended to do so because you want to be on Amazon's radar. Once you upload to Amazon, you can pick what country you want to be in. And it's also free, but it distributes everywhere on Kindle. Now you need Ingram for everywhere else. So if you want like Barnes & Noble to your local bookstore, they're going to order your book on Ingram Spark.
Yeah.
It's going to go, your ebook is going to go into like Apple Books and other readers that aren't Kindle.
Yeah.
So you really need both of them. They're both free to use. And I wanted to a little bit mention a common question I see in writers groups is somebody has stolen my book and put it up on eBay for less than I sell it. That's not what's happening. So what happens is, say, a discount bookseller will see your book. They'll probably upload the entire Ingram catalog, to be honest.
Yep.
And then they will print and ship directly to that custom on order. Those people are selling your books for you. You are going to make money off of those books. So when you see it on a random thing, do not freak out. That's through Ingram.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, the price is the price, but in order for them to post it, they had to pay for those books anyway. They just would have paid a wholesaler price, which that's what the booksellers do.
Right. So
you're still getting paid. Thing. Don't freak out.
Yep. You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really a good thing to do both. It's a little bit of effort, but it's not that much if you have the files separately where you can just upload to both formats.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. ISBNs. As promised.
Yes. So ISBN.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry. Rule number 1, own your own ISBN. Just first and foremost, don't let someone else purchase it for you. You need to own your ISBN. That's number 1.
So an ISBN is the code for your book. That's what tracks sales. You can't upload it without having an ISBN of some form. We'll get into that. It stands for International Standard Book Number. So when you see that ISBN, you know what you're talking about.
And that's how the booksellers find your book. So when you are trying to, you're hitting the pavement and you're going to Barnes & Noble and you're saying, please put my book in your store, they're going to say, give me that ISBN, because that's how they can find it on the Ingram list to order it for their store. Right. So you need it.
Every book needs one.
Every book needs one, and you need to own your own.
Right. What was your number 2?
My number 2.
I'm sorry I interrupted you to say what an international book number is. Okay, never mind.
I don't. Yeah. Oh, I was saying number 1. Well, the number 1 rule is own your ISBN, because if you let someone else own your ISBN, say the publisher, then that means the publisher has full rights to that book.
Right.
And they can sell it, they can change the price, they can do all these things that affect your bottom line without your consent because they own the ISBN number.
Right.
So don't do that.
There's a couple ways to get ISBNs. And again, this is the important thing about an ISBN is that you're tracking. So if you think you're going to end up on a bestseller list, you really want your ISBNs to travel everywhere. However, if you're in the US, the official place to get an ISBN in the United States is through Bowker, and I believe they are $125 each. You need a separate ISBN for paperback, hardcover, and ebook. So, like, it's crazy expensive. I love Hollis's way of dealing with this.
You can purchase them through Ingram Spark for $85. And that's a lot cheaper. It's still money, but when you're considering that you're publishing for free,
yeah,
you know, everywhere else.
Right. And then that will track, she puts that ISBN number into Amazon. So that way Amazon sales and sales for everything else track together.
And you do Ingram Spark first, and you want to publish with Ingram Spark first, so the ISBN is active. And then when you go to KDP, you just copy and paste, and you are done. You don't purchase another one. It's $85 for both platforms, one ISBN, and they're connected in the ISBN. So no matter who's searching for your book, whether it's on Amazon or otherwise, they can find it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something else about ISBNs, and it's gone.
Is it the bulk buying?
It was, free ISBN.
Free ISBN!
So let's cut to the chase here, because we're going to talk about budgeting in a minute. You can get free ISBNs both through Amazon and Ingram Spark. However, they're only for their own platform. Now, a lot of indie writers or first-time writers, it's not going to matter. If you're not going to hit a bestseller book, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. If that's not where your goal is, if you're indie, you can go with the free ones. There's absolutely no issue with that. It's just a separate one for Amazon. And if you have a crazy selling book, people are going to know it anyway.
Right.
But you do have that option.
Yeah, which is a great option, especially if you're just getting started, because let's be honest, it's really an extraordinarily rare once in a millennia thing where an author's first book ever published hits big.
Right.
It's
very
rare.
Right. Very rare. Right.
Yeah.
And then formatting. Formatting is basically just putting what you've written into a format that booksellers like ISBN, like Ingram Spark, and KDP know what it is. So you can actually do formatting through Word. You can use their own formatting as well. Yeah. You've had some experience with Vellum.
I have. I actually do all my own cover designs and page layouts, which is a pain in the neck. But since I have design background, I do that. So I did these. And it takes a lot of time. You do have to know how to do it. There's design software. But for example, Amazon and Ingram Spark on their websites, they both have formatting tools that you can use. And you can pick templates to use. And if you are not somebody who's a designer, then you can do that. Or you can hire a designer, which we'll get to in a short bit, which honestly, I would recommend that avenue because if you do it on the individual websites, you have to redo it on each one. You cannot download that to be re-uploaded. So if you do it on Ingram Spark,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, if you use their book builder, it's great for Ingram Spark. But you can't download that file and upload it to Amazon all formatted. No. You have to reformat the whole thing, which could be up to 10 to 20 hours, depending on how long your book is. So,
tell me about Vellum.
So Vellum, it's only available with Apple. computers, with Macs. And I have played with it. I haven't published with it yet, but I am going to be publishing the third book in this trilogy in October. I'm doing it in October. It's happening. And it's happening. And so I'm doing that, and I have been using it. You do need to upload from a Word document. So if you are, for example, I type it up in Google Docs, I'll download it from Google Docs as a Word document, which is an easy thing to do. And then when I upload it to Vellum, I'll do it from the Word document. And then you can it's just like any other formatting software. You can add graphics. It's really easy to use. And it does cost money. I think it's about $200, but it's a one-time price. And good news is, if you just want to test it, you can play with it with all the features as much as you want without purchasing. They just won't let you download anything. If you want to download something, you have to buy it, but you can mess with it and see if you like it.
Yeah.
And I've been messing with it. I like it.
Yeah. And honestly, and what I'm going to talk about is Atticus, because I don't have an Apple product. So I had to go with Atticus, which is a one-time fee as well. I think they've upped it a little bit, but maybe around $170 for lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel Atticus is more of a beta program. But I use it and it works. And it's the same thing. You just upload a docx file, and then I download that. I do all the formatting by myself, and then upload it into both Ingram and Kindle, and it's the same version. It looks the same without having to use the different things.
Right.
Now, I will say that both of these options, if you can do them, are considerably cheaper than hiring somebody to format it for you. So play with it first.
See how you're doing. See how you're feeling. And I will also mention that Falstaff Books, which if you know anything about indie public, you know about Falstaff Books, they use Vellum for all of their books. We have that from the man, John himself. So that's what they do to format all of their books. So it's, it's a good program, and even the professionals use it. And it's way cheaper. Though a professional designer, if that's what's right, and if you happen to know someone, then it can be really great.
Right. And actually, while we're on that subject, the next thing we want to talk about is budget. Because essentially, there are tons of things you can spend money on. Mm-hmm. And if you have set yourself a realistic budget. It has to be realistic.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about some of the things that people spend money on, and formatting programs is one of them. So I kind of want to talk about maybe all three of them, and then we can talk about them individually. Because you essentially have the formatting's the inside of the book.
Yes. The page layout.
Now, as important as that is, the most important asset that you have is your book cover. So you can pay money for editors, for marketing, for cover artists, for format artists. There are different types of editors. There are line editors. There are continuity editors. There's formatting editors. There's an editor for everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, some people are independently wealthy and can afford that. But realistically, if you're just starting out, you probably aren't going to recoup those costs on the book. So when I recommend, so we've got, our book covers. That is what's going to sell your book right there.
Right.
Your title and your book cover.
Mm-hmm.
Your book cover says everything to a buyer about what to expect from your book. If anything, I personally recommend you spend money on getting the right book cover for you, whether you're buying a program to do it yourself or whether you're spending money for somebody to help you, that if that book cover is bad, nobody's ever going to see the wondrous things that you've written inside.
No, nobody. It's just the first thing you see, the love at first sight. You know how it is when you're at the bookstore, you see a cover, you're like, oh,
yeah,
I must have it.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. But sometimes there'll be a book with kind of a meh cover.
You're right.
But maybe it's the most beautiful story ever told, but nobody picks it up.
Nobody will ever know.
Nobody picks that up. Yep. And that's just it. So yeah, definitely if you're going to invest in a designer, you do it on the cover. Page layouts, they're not unimportant, but the best thing is that make sure they're legible.
Right.
Obviously, make sure your story's good. Make sure you're happy with what you wrote. But, the page layout can be very basic and the reader will be fine.
Right.
But if that cover's not pretty, they're not even looking at it twice.
Agreed. And then again, before formatting, like there's editors, and both Hollis and I are incredibly fortunate to have like grammarians, if I may use that word, in our families.
Yes.
I actually excel in English, and I'm sure Hollis does as well.
I'm actually an internationally certified TEFL instructor by Cambridge, so I'm really good.
Right. So, yeah. So, you always need a second pair of eyes, though. Because there's all those little so's and to's that like Word and autocorrect isn't going to catch. There's just so many things you won't catch as the writer.
Yes.
Now, before you pay somebody, I've heard an excellent tip, and that is to do the read aloud function.
That's one of my tips that I had written down.
Well, tell me about that.
And I don't do the read aloud function. I read it out loud to myself.
Okay.
Because I am low budget. And I also don't like the robotic voices. Or
Right.
They upset me. I don't do it.
I do find when I read my own book aloud, I will read it as it's supposed to be and not catch the errors.
See, I catch my errors, and I also catch whether or not conversations flow appropriately.
Right.
But that also, brains work differently. Different people have different ways.
Right.
So, like, I'll catch it, but my brain has a different thought process.
Right.
And then, but yes, the read aloud or using the read aloud feature, which I've used it once. I didn't like it, but tell us about that because other people probably love it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like when I'm reading my own work, I know what I'm supposed to be saying in it. So it's real easy to miss those so's and to's and that kind of thing a lot. So, the robotic voice, that might be stumbling for you, but it helps the flow of your work. It helps you catch those little things that your eyes, when you're reading upward of 75,000 words, your brain's going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Your brain's going to make a mistake. So that's...
And doing it chapter by chapter, hugely helpful.
Right.
Yeah. Give yourself a break. Have a snack. Hydrate,
right.
But
I will say something like, if English is your second language and you want your book to be in English, just have a second pair of eyes. An editor is great. An editor, there's no replacement for a professional editor. However, they are costly.
Yeah.
So again, if you are great with design, but you don't feel like you might have the grammar there, you might want to pay for an editor instead of a book designer. So that's kind of why we're talking about the importance of everything.
Right. And and I tell people I do have a professional editor that I use, but my best editor, and I know I've told you this 100 times, my mommy, my mom. Yep. My mom is the best editor.
Right.
She catches the grammar. She catches all of the, I think I need more depth on this character. Everything. And she's a fast reader, and I love it. And so if you're crazy fortunate to have someone in your family who's just an avid reader, and she's a nurse, and she just has been an avid reader her whole life, and she knows her stuff.
Right.
But it's beneficial, and then also Grammarly.
Oh, no.
No to Grammarly. It catches things. I know people who use it, and I'm just like, just run it through.
I got rid of Grammarly, and the reason I got rid of Grammarly is because it really does make some suggestions that are wrong. And I've caught a lot of suggestions that are wrong in my book. But the other problem is, if you're using Microsoft Word, it's going to catch most of that.
Oh, yeah.
And when you run something through Microsoft Word and something through Grammarly, it's going to have two different opinions on the same phrase. So you have to use your noggin with Grammarly, because yes, it'll catch things. Sometimes you're not going to want to change that.
And you don't have to. Yeah. You can say ignore.
Right.
Just like you do in Microsoft Word, which is, we do a lot where we write fantasy. Do you know how many times they're like, you're misspelling this word? And you're like, that's somebody's name. Calm down.
Right.
Calm down, computer.
Right.
But it's, you just keep clicking ignore, and that's fine. Yeah. And you can do the ignore all option and all of that. Yeah. So it's
not a fan of the Oxford comma either. And I need that Oxford
I love
comma.
the Oxford comma.
Yeah, it's incorrect with that. It just no.
I know. Well, and I actually set mine to British. And it doesn't do that to me anymore.
Interesting.
It likes British English enjoys the Oxford comma.
Nice, because it's correct.
Yeah, it's correct. It's correct. Americans don't use it but the Brits do.
Right.
And I also have a tendency to spell things the British way because I'm a Navy brat who went to DoD schools and we learned international spellings. So the British English works great for me.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So then the third thing you might want to spend money on is marketing. And like, if you can get away with the other two things, I would recommend to put your eggs in the basket of marketing.
Yeah.
However, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because what is your number one marketing tool? Your book cover. People are visual. Your book cover is going to be your number one marketing tool. I won't make you say it together or repeat it. It's your number one marketing tool.
It really is.
If it does not tell, if you have a banging cover, but it's not indicative of your book. Like if you look at our covers, epic fantasy, YA fantasy. Nobody buying this book cover would expect this book to be inside of it and vice versa.
Right.
That's why it's so important because people will not buy your book without the book cover. But then the editor, if the words within, if it's unreadable to somebody, it could be like the best concepts in the world. So again, just like take all this advice and you decide what's right for you.
Yes. And also just aesthetic advice. If you can't read it in a thumbnail, it's not a good book cover. Guess what you're seeing when you're scrolling through Amazon? Thumbnails. You have to be able to do all that. So make sure it's legible, make sure you're using a font. I know fonts are super cool, but our fonts are legible. You can read that and they're still cool. I like our fonts. But there, some simple stuff if you're going to go with it. But and contrast is huge. It needs to be able to stand up in black and white just as it does in color.
One day I'm going to release special editions of my covers in black and white for Halloween.
That'll be cool.
Yes.
That'll be cool.
I'm very 80s dime store witch Halloween. Witch Halloween. So in going with that, with marketing, you've got your cover. I'll talk a little bit. So the number one thing most people do is set Amazon ads. So once your book's uploaded to Amazon, you can run Amazon ads. That is an entirely different podcast series on it. But I want to talk a little bit, and then Hollis has some information on some other marketing events. But let's talk about Amazon ads. So if you've never done it, essentially you run an Amazon ad, and it's going to give you the information based on your keywords. It is going to tell you how many people clicked on that ad and how many sales you got from people who clicked on that ad. And this is very important because if no one's clicking on your ad. I see people all the time like, no one's clicking on my ad, my book must be garbage. No, they've not read your book. It does not mean your book is garbage.
It means nobody sees your book.
If you got horrifying reviews that are all 1 star, you might want to rethink that editor. But that is not, it means the keywords are not right for your ad. So let's say you've got 100 clicks and no sales. Well, that means either your keywords are not what people want for your book. They're looking for something other than your book. Or more commonly, it means if they've clicked on the ad, that means you also have a good book cover. So keyword, book cover, title, that'll get you clicks. So if you have clicks, you need to look at your blurb because people are going to click it. They're going to read your blurb and decide whether or not that book is for you. So again, it's so important to make sure your Amazon keywords fit your book. And if your blurb isn't working, do not be married to your blurb. Rewrite that blurb if you are getting clicks without those sales. And
the blurb is another thing you can invest in. People do write blurbs professionally.
Right.
And as authors, blurbs are one of the worst things to write. We can write a 600-page novel and a paragraph, help me.
Right.
Oh my God.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Right.
So
I always joke that I just wanted to put the whole book in tiny, tiny font on the back.
just like font 5. Yeah. And get a magnifying glass.
Yes. Magnifying glass comes with every book.
It's perfect. And that's what you do. But I also wanted to mention real quick with Amazon ads, the reason we want to do Amazon ads is because most of your sales are going to be through Amazon.
Yeah.
I know we say do Ingram Spark as well to hit the other markets, but that is less than half of your sales. Like, Amazon's a monopoly. We all know it.
Right.
And if if you're going to put money in ads anywhere, Amazon, because that's where the majority of your sales are coming.
And you also pay per click.
Mm-hmm.
And not per length of ad run.
Right. So like with social media ads, for example, they just do a length per ad run, which is more expensive and usually less effective.
Right.
But with Amazon, it's you can set a budget of $5 and be all done.
Go.
And then,
remember, that budget is per click. It also does show you impressions. It'll see how many people actually saw your ad versus how many people clicked on it.
Mhm.
Now, I will tell you, the click rate is pretty low.
Yeah.
So don't freak out. You just, if you're not getting any clicks, then you redo your keywords or your bids. Okay, before I go further down that rabbit hole, what other marketing avenues?
Well, of course, social media. We can't ignore that. It's a major thing. I will say with social media, to super boil it down for you, don't waste money on ads until you have things solidified. Not with social media ads. Amazon ads, you can put money into that because, number one, it's not a lot of money. And number two, it's helping you build that following. But spending money on Instagram or Facebook ads is usually just down the drain until you actually have a little bit of a following. So wait until you start to gain a tiny bit of traction on Amazon before you dive in to ads on social media. That being said, with social media, you want to stay consistent with your brand or your book, whatever your persona is.
Your book cover,
whatever your persona is as an author. If you're personally, I'm super into like coffee and that kind of vibe. And so, you'll see a lot of that consistently. The other rule is post once a day. Do it. I don't care sometimes if I'm super tired, I will post a meme. That I usually don't. I usually put the effort in, but on the days where you're like, I have like a little, some stuff saved on my phone that's just memes that I'm like, that's hilarious. There we go.
Right.
There's a book pun for everybody.
Yes.
And
also your personality, because, there is that, what is your social media account going to look like? And I will just briefly overview this and not delve into each one. But if you have like a nonfiction crime book, you're not going to want to do that.
No.
Now, she and I have very similar vibes in books, so we're a little bit looser.
Right.
So some people want to be like crazy professional with their social media. And then some people just want to, hey, this is my personality. You like my personality. You like my book. Some people are in between. Sometimes you post only, you post and interact only with what might fit your book. So everybody's kind of going to have their own social media style, like on that one.
But be authentic to yourself. That's the most important thing.
What's yourself? What's your book?
Right.
Like,
so if you're and genres, we're both fantasy authors. She's YA. I'm more classic, epic stuff. But it's still, we're fantasy. And fantasy, that genre leans more into just be yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Just have fun. Make some jokes. Be silly.
Right.
And we both excel at that. So that's fantastic. But like if you are writing a horror book, if your genre is horror, then you're going to want to lean more into the scary side of things, or frankly, if you're academic, lean more into whatever, but be authentic to yourself, but lean into your genre. Make sure you're staying true to that, and post once a day. Try to do a lot of the reels or the videos on Instagram. They're called reels. And, do that. And also, by the way, what I always do is I will make a reel in one place on Instagram, and then you can download it, upload it to, if you have TikTok, go on TikTok, put that thing on YouTube as a short, put the same thing across all three. Boom, you've posted across all three social medias with the same effort. Score.
Yay.
Yeah. So that make it easier on yourself, but just stay true to yourself and stay consistent. That's the best advice with social media. But focusing in on Amazon is the best thing. Digital marketing, once you start to get a following, then you can start pouring money into it, because as a nobody, not that you're nobody, but you know what I mean. it's too much. It's just you're not gonna see return.
Good advice. And then lastly, as far as what you're as your marketing is, most people are not aware of this, and I'm very, very grateful to a British author for pointing this out to me, is that your Amazon link does not automatically redirect to a different country. So they have, there's several sites that do free, what they call international book links. I use Booklinker myself, and I put that right up on my link tree. And that way, so what Booklinker does is you type in your ISBN, and it'll show up everywhere that ISBN is sold. So mine, since I have a consistent ISBN with Ingram Spark and KDP, it'll show like that you can order my book on Barnes and Noble and like Apple Books, but it also comes up with Amazon. And when that person clicks Amazon, it will automatically redirect to their country's Amazon page. Otherwise, if they're using your US Amazon link or whatever country you're from, it's not going to redirect, which means your customer is going to have to shut it out, reopen Amazon, and type in your information. And I bet you anyway, you've lost sales already on that.
You lose so many sales. I was just telling Elara that I actually have a lot of international sales. Not a lot. I wish I had more. But I sell in the UK, in Asia, and places like that. But those people are not finding my book on Amazon.com. They're finding it on .au. They're finding it on .co.uk and all of that, but you know how many sales I would lose if I didn't use the international book linker?
Right.
I wouldn't be able, like the people in the Philippines who have bought my book would have never bought it.
Right.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yes, Ingram Spark distributes for you, but again, Amazon is a global powerhouse and you need to focus on it.
Right. And like lastly, we can't even this is again multi-episodes, but we've got a scam warning. And when you are a new author, every scam in the world is going to be thrown at you.
They're gonna sweet talk you. They're gonna say they heard all about you and you're so talented, and you are, but they're not right. They're not. They're liars.
And this is everything from people wanting to buy rights for your book for movies. It has people interested in publishing your book, and they will ask you all this stuff that does not charge you a penny. And then once you've gone through all these hoops, they'll say, okay, well, you know what, though? We need you to hire a professional editor before we can publish this. They're scamming you. If they're asking you for money at any point, and you will have all this free stuff until the very moment it's about to get published. So watch out.
Yes.
Vanity hybrid publishers.
They cover their butts legally. Yeah. Well, and I also want to say people impersonate agents as well.
All the time.
And that's the same deal. They'll say, oh, no, I'm your agent. Oh, but then they'll call you a month later and say, hey, let me get you into this book fair, only $1,500.
Right.
That happens. No, not a real agent. Scammer.
Essentially, when it comes to I'll publish your book in Russia, it's like, well, you know what? Ingram Spark already does that. So the general rule is if they're asking for money and they're approaching you, it's a scam. It's a scam.
Don't do it. Yep.
It's a scam.
It's a scam. Yep.
And movie people, they don't contact you.
Well, I have had Universal actually did legitimately review. I didn't make it through. But I thought they were a scam when they first called me. And then I was like, I started asking them questions, and he was like, I don't have time for this. If you want to submit your book, I'll send you the thing. If not, I'm not going to. I was like, oh, he basically gave me the I don't care about you speech. And then I submitted my book. It was $0. And it didn't even make it through the first round of things. But I was very, very pleased that Universal Studios reviewed To Save a World.
Nice.
For a possible purchase. I was like one of, I'm sure, 30.
Right.
And I didn't make it through round 1. But it does happen occasionally. But the thing is, that guy never asked me for money. And when I started vetting him, he was like, listen, I don't need you. So that's a thing.
Yeah. I do want to mention one more thing is that a lot of the book groups, you will see a lot of book groups all over. And like on Facebook in particular, a lot of those writing groups are run by people selling you services. In one of the ones I'm in, I've actually stayed in because I want to steer people away from that and kind of warn them that they might have some other options. Somebody in one of these groups had posted that they had spent over £5,000 following the advice of the group. New writer, one book, £5,000. Please be careful. Like, use your brain, ask questions, look at your source. Who is commenting? Oh, you need a professional editor. This is what it'll cost. Don't take their word for it. Do your research.
Yeah. And a great place to do your research, I know I've said it before, is Reedsy. reedsy.com. It's a free thing to join, online thing. They have so much information. And I mean anything. They have vetted editors, designers, beta alpha readers, whatever you need. They are vetted. They are legit. The prices are good. I have hired their marketers. They were fantastic. And it only cost me $200 for a month of work from them.
Nice.
And it helped a lot.
Good tip.
Yeah, good tip. But Reedsy, and it has just hordes of free information that you can, and they'll warn you against everything, and you can even do scam tests. That they even have like all of it. They post it all. So get on Reedsy. You'll get connected with everyone, and it's the best resource I know of for anyone.
Sounds good.
Who's an indie writer. Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, and also speaking of legitimate writing groups, I'm a board member for Carnegie Writers. And they are a legitimate writing group. It's focused on the writing. It's totally free to join. We're on Eventbrite. We're on Facebook. And it's just, we meet once a month via Zoom. We have a lot of international members. And it's just, we just talk about writing. We do writing exercises together. And we'll have people can just discuss and ask questions and everything. It's completely free, and it always will be. Guess what time it is? Lightning round! Okay, anyway, that's my lightning round sounds. That's
nice.
I apologize, and also I'm not sorry. So, here we go. Are you ready?
I think so.
Favorite character that you have written?
It has to be, I have this character called Winston Willifer Warlock, and he talks all in alliteration. And I just have to, I have to break from writing him because I'm just laughing myself silly. And it's also incredibly challenging to say what you need to say, but have every word start with the same letter. So he's challenging. He's so fun. And I just love that he just talks like that. And except when he gets really sinister, then he just breaks the act. So he's fun.
You love a challenge.
I do.
That you created for yourself.
Yes.
My favorite personal character that I've created is Tim, the wizard Tim. I love him.
That's a good one.
A lot of people, I love writing him. He is.
I love reading him.
Thank you. He's a socially awkward 1,000-year-old wizard. And it's fantastic. And he's extremely blunt because he's possibly on the spectrum. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. So next one. Favorite writing beverage?
Coffee.
Absolutely coffee.
Is there any other?
Tea.
I suppose that's a drink.
I do. Well, I mean, I drink so much tea.
All right. Is that your beverage then?
Coffee is my more go-to.
See?
I'm a cafe writer. I do more coffee, but I definitely
throw that tea in the ocean a la Boston Tea Party style.
Nah, I love my tea.
America.
I love tea. All right. Moving on. Which character of yours do you most want to hang out with?
So it's gotta be, I don't want to give anything away in my book. So it's gotta be my Gandalf character.
Ooh.
Because I'm not that person. Every character just has some of me in it. And I'm just not I'm not the wizened old wizard. I'm not the one to guide people. I'm not like pretty much all good. So like I'd love to like sit down and like have a talk with her. And I do have conversations with her myself often. But yeah, like I would like to know more of what makes a person or character like that tick.
I like that. For me, it has to be Jeeve. Jeeve from the Rashawn series. He's not technically one of them. I mean, he is the main character, but he's just so friendly and he's fun and he's cool to hang with and he's got jokes, he's got knowledge, he's easygoing. The man's got charisma. I mean, I'd hang out with Jeeve. All right. This is an extraordinarily important question, and I need you to take it super seriously.
Okay. I'm focusing.
All right. Are cats part of your writing process?
Of course. Absolutely. Of course. I mean, it's necessary, really.
It really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cats are in the books. Cats are everywhere. I mean, they're important.
Actually, one of my cats, I named one of my characters after one of my cats. That name. And then there is also a cat in the book, which is also one of my cats. So, yeah. Very important.
Extraordinarily important. Does inspiration strike you randomly?
So randomly, and it's always while I'm driving.
Oh, mine is always while I'm at my stupid day job.
Stupid day job.
Stupid day job. Okay, I like my coworkers a lot and everything, but it's not writing, so whatever. Stupid.
And as you know, like I'm a fiber artist, so like sometimes I just weave or knit or do something really rhythmic and think about the book. So like there's that too. So if I need to get into that zone. But yeah, like I'm the type of person who like just drives and then like, oh, how would that fit into my book? How would that fit into my book? So yeah.
Well, and I'm going to answer the last question first because I know you've got some information. But last question is, how do you deal with random inspiration when it strikes? I do Post-it notes because it usually strikes at work. They're boop, meow, 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 meow. Stick it where I can remember it later, and that's how I deal with it.
Yeah.
How do you deal with random inspiration?
Yeah, I'll use the index card sometimes. So not only while I'm driving, but also because I have a chronic disease that causes chronic pain and chronic fatigue, is that I have started doing a lot of voice to text.
Oh.
And so, like, I'm very, like, hypnagogic. So when I'm falling asleep, when I'm waking up, one's hypnoponic, the other hypnagogic. When I'm falling asleep or waking up, I have most of the ideas. So I've learned the best way for me to do this is just email myself. And I'll do it. Yeah. So I'll do that. So if I'm either driving, I can just tell my smarter than me phone to message myself. Or if I'm just feeling achy, I'll just start kind of random in a stream of conscious and just start writing that way and then email it to myself. And you get the most hilarious autocorrects. I can't, like, they're over. Yeah, they're like, some of them are really bad. They really bad.
Yeah, autocorrect gets fun.
Yeah.
As we all know, we have all been victims of autocorrect.
Right.
All of us. Yeah.
My sugar plum fairy, definitely, but we won't go into that.
I just know that I had a friend who, his name was Pia. And every time I would say his name in a text, it would be like, Pillars is coming to dinner. And I'd be like, no, not Pillars. Not an architectural. Pia. Oh my God. My phone does not speak Spanish.
No. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And let us know if you have any questions.
Message us, comment. I don't know. Find us on the Facebooks and the Instagrams. And I know I put the in front of it. I don't care. I'm old and I'm fine with it.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of you at Dragon Con.
Yes.
And then we'll podcast after.
We'll be there Saturday in our sweet, sweet t-shirts. Oh, wait.
Sweet.
Look for these faces in those shirts.
Yep.
They have goodie bags.
Yep. Oh, we do.
You do. Yeah. Bye.
Find us at Dragon Con.
We have swag. There are also stickers.